I, getting on in years, I lived for many years in northwest London, where I played most of my tennis. 30 years at one club, but having moved, I now play for another club. That was a sort of medium-sized club. I spent quite a lot of those years helping run the club in one of the major roles. And always enjoyed my tennis, doing all sorts of jobs at that club. And then clearly I was the regional secretary for 5 years and retiring last year.
Yeah. How did you get into tennis? Have you been playing all your life, or?
Yes. I was lucky. My parents played tennis, and we lived in a block of Victorian flats in North London, and in the gardens of these flats were 2 tennis courts, and there weren't many players. My parents played, so I spent my early years playing against my sister all the time. Then I disappeared off to university, and when I came back and moved to northwest London, I ended up joining a club for the first time. And ever since then, I've played tennis, probably not so frequently now, but used to play many times a week.
Great. What did you do outside of tennis?
I spent my life working for the same energy company, not a well-known one, but dealing with what they call midstream. And I was in the department which bought enormous quantities of gas from the oil companies to sell to customers. And then in the later years, I moved over to what they call the upstream side and helped run their portfolio of oil and gas fields.
Nice.
And I retired about 13 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Enjoying my life since then.
How did you, so when you joined your club, how did you get into volunteering there? Were you asked, or was everyone encouraged?
I was asked. The role I played was called club captain, not one which is popular amongst clubs, but it was the role of running all the tennis playing side of the club. And the fellow who took it over, that we all assumed would do it for a long time, decided he moved jobs and wasn't able to do it. And I was approached to do it, and that was 1979. And I set about it, as it were. And over the time, the club became more and more successful. I'm not sure that was the way I played tennis, but it grew from 5 to 6 courts. It's a sort of, we put floodlighting in, and strangely, we always seemed to be a standard size. It was about 130 adults, 100 juniors. We kept a very steady number, and as I say, the role of club captain was to do all the playing side. So that was getting to know the new members, seeing they were good enough to join, organising all the tournaments. I used to have a bank holiday tournament every bank holiday. It was picking the team captains and helping the team captains run things, even down to writing reports for the local newspaper on matches and tournaments, and writing newsletters, the full range. Although I got into other things which weren't my roles, like helping with planning permissions and negotiating leases. So I think I must have done the whole remit in my 16 years.
Oh, wow. No, that sounds... what did you enjoy most about it?
I think seeing the club grow successfully, and it was keeping people happy, and I think generally people were happy with what I did. No.
I mean, it sounds like the club's doing well as well, which is good.
It was doing well, yes. It's like a lot of clubs, it went up and down, but it was generally on the up. It's been on further on the up, although probably not quite as good as it was at one time at the moment in terms of standard.
I mean, yeah, standard varies, but you've got like participation at the moment is quite high in general.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, numbers are important as well as yeah. You said that like now that you've moved to Kent, you've started doing you've been helping out at the new club with some different roles that you've not done before.
That's right. After 16 years, I promised myself I would never go on a tennis club committee again. I had my share, but I was keen to help, and they were short of people to help supervise at the junior tournaments, the Open Junior tournaments, and I said I would come down and help. And that was probably about 7, 8 years ago now. They hold 2 open tournaments, week-long tournaments each year. So I went down there, and then they asked me to do the court supervisor's course, which I did. And look, 1 or 2 things I didn't realise, as you do. But yes, every year they ask my availability now for these tournaments, and when I can do it, I'll go down and do it. And
how do you in that? Would you recommend it to other people, the court supervising, or?
Yes, I think it gives you a satisfaction that you are able to help in a way. It's a job, I think, which primarily it's not so much the knowledge, but because you're often coming out situations you've not faced before. But if you've got some common sense, you can deal with most problems. And as I say, I think it's a satisfaction of doing something that helps. It's helping in tennis too, a sport which I've always loved.
Nice. Would you like to add anything else to your profile, or anything that we feel like we haven't gotten into in the interview so far?
Yes, I'd say the 2 types of volunteering job I've been involved in, which was well, 3 types. All of them involve difficult situations, and you have to realise where there's conflict, you can only satisfy one person normally. So you can have one unhappy and one happy, and you've got to learn to accept that. And it took a bit for me to accept that. But I suppose the simplest example with court supervising, you get called across because they disagree on the line calls. So one of them will be upset because you haven't agreed with their view.
You haven't heard the court supervisor saying you've got to leave both of them a little unhappy yet?
No. They don't tell you about that. That's just something you learn. But you, as I say, doing any job in a club, you probably learn that you can have unhappy people, and you've got to accept that's part of life, forget it, and get on.